Anyway, sorry about that. Had to restart or turn the camera off and turn it back on. I dropped it, and for some reason picture started looking pretty bad. Anyway, in the trunk, this is metal that was put in about 8 years ago. The paint is flaking off. I didn't treat it or properly seal it up and stuff when I did it. It wasn't meant to be permanent. But back here there is a Barry Grant BG 280 that sticks through the floor. You got a step down transformer in the trunk for a high and low controls on the shifter. Pretty plain Jane plastic fuel cell. Nothing too fancy, but once again, great parts to work with. The interior, as you can see, is stripped of the stock seats. I do have the stock bucket seats and the rear seat. The back has been sealed up for requirements for explosions. I do have, like I say, the rear seat and the bucket seats, although they need to be reupholstered. The floor, their floor pans have been replaced, front and rear, inside the car. There is no carpet, there's no sound deadening, nothing in here. You can see that there's been work on these pans. I'll go around the other side and show you what that looks like. But at any rate, we've got Cuda Command Center. All the controls for the car are wired off of this starter. 2 switches for the high and low on the fuel pump. Ignition. You've got the fan and a couple extra switches. I do have the lights on the hood and tack lighting wired into this side. And I also have a switch for the oxygen sensor readout, which is mounted where the stereo was. You have Rally Dash. It's always a good thing. Grant wheel. Kirky aluminum seats. Other than that, you've pretty much got a stripped interior with not a lot going on. So you'd be replacing pretty much anything and everything that you'd want on that to do as far as an interior. Door panels, pretty much everything. As I've said, I haven't touched anything to do with the body. This quarter panel is the worst. It was ripping out right here. That's originally what made me decide to put the cage in and subframe connectors and do some of the sheet metal work underneath the car to strengthen it up. So you're looking at quarter panels on both sides. There is some body filler in both doors. I'm pretty positive they're salvageable. The front end is good. It's not perfectly straight, but they don't seem, I've never noticed any body filler or thought they seemed like they were wrecked or had been wrecked in any way, shape, or form. The hood is in good shape. There's no damage to the hood. The glass on all the glass except for the driver's side has some welding marks from a roommate that was doing some welding. The windshield's brand new. The side glass on the passenger side is good, and so is the back window glass. I also have a second fin and some other parts for the spoiler, and along with the 4-speed, an 833 4-speed close ratio out of a 73 Cuda, not this Cuda, but there is a capability to make this a 4-speed car again. I did leave the pedals inside the interior. The pedals are here, so at least you don't have to dig up those if you decide to use a 4-speed. As you can see, the body is pretty rough. It's a 20 car. It doesn't look bad going down the road. 20 miles an hour, 20 feet, but by no stretch is it, something that is good to go for the long term. The motor does run. I haven't driven it all that much in the last 3 or 4 years. I have noticed that when I start it up, when it's been sitting a while, that until the oil gets circulated around, there's a little bit of noise. I think it may be a rocker, but after about 30 to 40 seconds and after the car warms up, then you don't hear any of that noise. The only noise that you do hear after the engine is warmed up is the rocker arm noise from the shaft mounted rockers and them being old. Another thing outside is we do have a grill that is intact. I've got one of the chrome rings for the grill. I do not have the second one, but the grill is definitely salvageable and intact. And if you've looked around for those, you know they're expensive. Also, the same thing with the hood. If you've looked around, there's a lot of cars that don't have a hood or a grill, and that's a couple grand for those two parts. Anyway, that's pretty much the gist of it. As I pan out here, as I've stated, you can see that from 20, 30 feet away and going down the road, you know, the car is definitely, you could, in my opinion, rebuild the motor, since it definitely needs a rebuild if you wanted to drive it on a regular basis, and rebuild the front suspension. I've never replaced any of the bushings or any of that stuff on the front end, so it definitely would need that if you wanted to drive it on a regular basis. Other than that, the transmission that's in it is pretty much brand new. It's not stock. It has a reverse manual valve body. It has Mopar Performance parts on the bands and some of the internal stuff, and it only has about 1,500 miles on that. And also, looking back here, we do also have some Dutchman axles that are here on the 8 3/4 rear end. It has 10-inch center lines, auto drag 3s with Mickey Thompson ET Streets tires mounted on it. And you can also see a little bit of rubber on here on the back of the car. At any rate, that's pretty much the gist of the car. You know, that's why my ad says that either, you know, tear it apart, do the body stuff if a guy wanted to, or part it out, use the parts on another Cuda if you have one, or rebuild a motor, drive the hell out of it like I have when I've driven it, and you know, just go from there and then work on it in your leisurely time like my original plan was. At any rate, thanks for viewing.